Manuka honey can cost 100 times more than regular honey. Why? Well, Manuka is supposed to have amazing health benefits like no other food on earth.
Some people call it liquid gold.
Liquid gold!
It's like an old witchcraft thing to wash your whole body with it.
In some cases, it's even more powerful than traditional antibiotics.
But are these claims really true? Or is Manuka a big fat scam? Spoiler alert, it is. And it isn't, because it all depends on what you're actually buying and how you're using it. Today, I'm going to break it all down so you know exactly what to look for and what to avoid, and so you can decide if Manuka honey is even worth it in the first place. Oh, and right up front, you should know this video is not sponsored by Big Honey, or Big Manuka, or Big anyone else for that matter, so let's get to it. First off, lovely people, Manuka tastes amazing. Its flavor is more robust, and its texture is thicker than other honeys, even more than raw honey. You should know that Manuka honey and raw honey, they're not interchangeable terms. Raw honey means the honey that comes straight from the hive, unpasteurized, and it never contains additional sugars or sweeteners. Manuka honey usually is raw honey, but it comes from just one part of the world and from the nectar of one very special flower, the Leptospermum scoparium, or tea tree, a scrubby flowering tree native only to New Zealand and Australia, which is called Manuka in Maori. Now, all honey has antibacterial properties, but Manuka honey contains an organic compound called methyl glyoxal, or MGO for short, which gives Manuka its unique antibacterial potency. I said MGO, not to be confused with that. Other honeys may actually contain traces of MGO too, but they're minuscule compared to Manuka. It's the MGO that gives Manuka those amazing health benefits. It's been touted to heal inflammation, bacterial infections, and autoimmune diseases. More on that in a minute. It's also used as topical treatment for sores, wounds, burns, and eczema. So the most common rating you'll see on a Manuka label is the MGO number, which indicates just how much of that antibacterial compound is present in the honey. But not all Manuka is alike. Everything from the plant's growing conditions to the way the final honey product was stored can affect the amount of MGO. I've seen ratings as low as 30 plus, like this one here, to well over 1,000. The higher the MGO number, the higher its antibacterial effect should be. And that's reflected in the price. An MGO over 1,000 plus can run you upwards of $300 for just 8 ounces. Some small jars of Manuka sell for literally thousands of dollars. But here's where things get sticky. MGO is not the only rating system out there. There's another one called UMF. It stands for Unique Manuka Factor. And the people behind UMF claim that it's a more accurate and comprehensive benchmark of purity. Like MGO, the higher numbers claim to indicate higher quality honey. 5 plus being the lowest, 26 the highest. The UMF stamp also authenticates that the honey is exclusively from New Zealand. This assurance of origin is a whole other can of worms, because for years, New Zealand's Manuka makers tried to trademark Manuka honey in an effort to stop Australian producers from using the same name. They argued that the Maori word Manuka was a unique treasure of the Maori culture, like French champagne or Scotch whiskey, and should therefore be protected. But New Zealand just recently lost that trademark battle. The courts ruled that Manuka honey is descriptive, not distinctive, and that the Manuka honey produced in Australia has every right to call itself such. But maybe even more significant are the findings of a scientific study which tested the reliability of various UMF-graded Manuka and found in some products increased antibacterial activity in those that had a lower UMF value. That's right, the supposedly higher grade honeys tested worse for their medicinal properties than the cheaper stuff. So, lovely people, how can you tell if your Manuka honey is any good or not? Here are my 5 recommendations. Don't waste your money on Manuka with an MGO lower than 100 plus. Remember, the baseline for UMF is 5, and that's equivalent to about an MGO of 83. You can find Manuka rated between 250 and 300 MGO that cost $20 to $30. That's still a pretty penny for a small jar of honey, but you may at least start to see significant antibacterial effects. Don't drive yourself crazy over the MGO or UMF ratings or any other grading system you might see. More important than any number is this one word: monofloral. Monofloral means the honey came from bees that got their nectar from the Manuka flower and only the Manuka flower, as opposed to multifloral. That's a producer's way of diluting Manuka with cheaper varieties of honey. By the way, UMF-graded honeys are required to be monofloral. You simply won't find any multifloral Manuka with a UMF stamp. MGO-graded honeys, on the other hand, can be mono or multifloral. You just have to read the label, and please don't be dazzled by the ones that seem to brag about multifloral, as though somehow this is better, like your honey is in stereo instead of mono. Remember, monofloral means pure Manuka honey. Ask yourself what you're using the honey for. If you just want a soothing, nutritious honey for your toast or tea, you might be better off buying a locally sourced raw honey that also packs its own antibacterial properties, but at a fraction of the cost. If you want to fight a sore throat or gingivitis or use a sterilized version as a topical treatment for certain skin conditions, then there is evidence to suggest a spoonful of Manuka can work wonders. That's because of Manuka's proven medicinal value when it comes to point of contact. If you're thinking of spending hundreds of dollars on top-grade monofloral Manuka in the hope of curing every ailment under the sun, I have some sobering news for you. There's just not enough evidence, not yet, that all its potent antibacterial compounds actually survive digestion. That doesn't make Manuka honey a scam, we just don't know all there is to know about how Manuka's medicinal properties work within the body. There's still a huge amount to discover on that front, especially when it comes to our gut microbiome. The key takeaway is this, and I'll bang this drum till I'm blue in the face. There's simply no one food that's the magic bullet to cure all ills. Except maybe this one. It's a two-parter, but you have to watch both parts to understand why it's the superfood to end all superfoods. Oh, and spoiler alert, it's a scam.